All right, peeps. When Isaac dies, Jacob takes over as head of the tribe. He settles his family in his father's land of Canaan. His sons take care of his flocks of sheep. But one day, Joseph tells his father that his brothers have been misbehaving out in the field.
I'm ashamed of all of you. I need you to be responsible like your little brother Joseph here.
It's okay, Dad. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, Joseph, you really are a special kid.
There goes father with his favorite son.
I can't believe he told on us. What's next? Father puts him in charge of the flocks?
I'll never take orders from Joseph.
One day, Jacob gives his beloved son a special gift.
Your father had this coat made just for you.
For me? It's just like a chieftain's robe.
The next time Joseph goes out to the fields, he shows off his new coat. His brothers become even more jealous. But this is nothing compared to how they feel when Joseph says,
This reminds me, I had a dream last night. We were all bundling grain. When we finished, all your bundles bowed down to me.
Bow down to you? Never!
But Joseph doesn't get the hint.
I had another dream. This time, the sun, moon, and stars bowed down to me too.
Joseph, stop your boasting. You really think your mother, brothers, and I will serve you? Could this really be a dream from God?
Jacob soon forgets his own anger towards Joseph, but the second dream whips the older brother's hatred into a burning rage.
He thinks he's a star, huh? I'll show him how far a star can fall.
Joseph's dreams have made his brothers hate him, but his father is blind to the danger. While the older brothers are tending sheep far away in the land of Shechem, Jacob sends Joseph to find them.
Go, check on your flocks and brothers, and let me know how things are going.
But when the brothers see Joseph approaching,
Here comes that arrogant dreamer.
I've had enough of his talk. Let's get rid of him.
Joseph's brothers pounce on him. They strip off his fine coat and they throw him down an empty well. Then they talk about how to get rid of him for good.
Let's just let him starve.
Wait, see that caravan coming? We could sell Joseph to them as a slave. Then we could get rid of him and make some money.
So the brothers pull Joseph out of the empty well and drag him to the caravan.
This boy is our slave, but he talks too much for our liking. He just won't shut up. How much money would you give us for him?
He's a handsome boy. He should bring a good price in Egypt.
He looks soft. At most, I could offer 15 shekels.
But I'm...
Keep still, slave. See, always talking. Look, 20 shekels and you got a deal.
Reuben has been watching the sheep and trying to figure out how to save his brother Joseph. But the caravan is well out of sight by the time Reuben discovers what his brothers have done. Bum,
Where's
bum,
Joseph?
bum.
What have you done with him?
We sold him some traders bound for Egypt. Joseph can annoy foreigners for a change. Here's your share in the money.
Sold him? Oh no! What will we tell father?
We'll smear Joseph's coat with goat's bloods. Father will blame the wild animals.
Back at home, the brothers carry out their evil plan.
We found this bloody coat, but we're not sure whose it is. Do you think it could be...
It's Joseph's! A lion must have killed him! Joseph, my son! My son!
Well, Jacob mourns the death.
Not supposed to laugh at the death. Pastor Patrick, she did a really good job of feeling the part.
That was really good, my son!
Thank you.
While Jacob mourns the death of his beloved son, Joseph is sold at auction in Egypt.
Look, this boy is strong and handsome. He'll make a fine slave. Even in the king's palace, How much am I bid?
30 shekels. Oh God, please help me. How is this in your plan?
And so Jacob's favorite son becomes the slave of Potiphar, captain of the king's guard. But Joseph does not beg for pity. Oh no, he puts his trust in the God and holds up his head proudly. Soon, the spoiled boy becomes a hardworking young man.
Joseph has become my best slave.
He doesn't act like a slave. Tell me more about him.
Some traders brought him from Canaan. He's strong and intelligent too.
And handsome, in the right clothes. He would pass for a prince.
Years pass, and Potiphar eventually makes Joseph manager of all of his property.
Things are better with Joseph in charge. He prays every day, asking God to help him.
But Joseph's success also leads to trouble. Potiphar's wife falls madly in love with a handsome young slave. One
Dun, dun,
day,
dun.
while Potiphar is away,
Joseph, come sit beside me and tell me where you come from. Why are you here in Egypt?
Thank you, but I have work to finish before Potiphar returns.
Do you always have to think of Potiphar?
Why, yeah, he's my master. I won't be disloyal to him or disobey my God.
No man can treat me like that and live.
she waits with Joseph's robe in her hands. When Potiphar returns, she greets him with tears in her eyes and a lie dripping from her lips.
Your Hebrew slave tried to kiss me. I screamed and he laughed, but he dropped his robe. Here, see it?
I'll throw him into prison for this! Look who we have coming to join us in his fancy clothes.
When he's been here as long as I have, he'll forget what it's like to wear such nice, clean clothes. Falsely accused, Joseph faces his first night in prison, but he is not afraid, and he is not alone because God is with him. Joseph prays just as he has done every other night of his life.
What God can save him? Leave him alone. He's better than the rest of us.
One long, hot day follows another. The prisoners quarrel over food, water, and the best place to sleep. One day, a fight breaks out. Fight, 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 fight.
Fighting won't make life any better.
Even in prison, God is with Joseph. Through these trials, God is forcing Joseph to learn patience and leadership. When the keeper of the jail discovers that Joseph maintains peace in the prison, he puts Joseph in charge of the other prisoners. One day, the king's baker and butler are thrown into prison for offending the king. Both men have dreams that disturb them and come to Joseph for help.
What do you think my dream means?
Well, in 3 days, your head will be lifted up, and Pharaoh will give you back your high position. You'll be the king's butler again. And please, when my words come true, ask Pharaoh to release me from prison. I'm an innocent captive.
No, tell me what my dream means. Like, kids would be nice. Like, I want to live too.
I'm very sorry. Your dream shows that in 3 days, your head will be lifted off. You'll be hanged up high by Pharaoh.
I don't like that at all.
Words come true. 3 days later, one man is executed and the other returns to serve the king. But the butler forgets his promise to put in a good word for Joseph. 2 years go by. One day, Pharaoh summons his butler.
No wine for me today. I had a disturbing dream, and no one in my whole kingdom can tell me what it means. Pharaoh, I know of a good prisoner who can tell you the meaning of the dream. He explained mine. Well, what are you waiting for?
The butler wastes no time, having Joseph released from prison. Joseph stands before the Pharaoh of Egypt.
Is it true you can tell me the meaning of dreams?
I can't, but my God can. Oh, Pharaoh, tell me your dream.
I saw 7 fat cows come out of that Nile River. Then I saw 7 skinny cows come up and eat all the fat ones. Now, what do you make of that?
God is warning you that there will be 7 years of good crops followed by 7 years of famine. You should appoint a wise officer to store grain during the 7 good years. Then there will be food for everyone during the 7 years of famine.
Who is wiser than you since God is with you?
Pharaoh quickly calls the officers of his court. As they watch, he puts his own ring on Joseph's finger.
I have put you in charge of all of Egypt as my grand vizier. Only I, Pharaoh, will be greater than you.
Here's the thing. I want you guys to think about this. If you got your Bible, you can even look at Genesis chapter 50, verse 20. There's a lot of chapters in Genesis. But Genesis, let me read it to you. Joseph says, he's talking to his brothers. He says, as for you, you meant evil against me when they sold him into Egypt, but God meant it for good in order to bring about something good to save people's lives. Some of you guys have been through some yuck stuff in your life. You have, even at your young age. You can look at it as what those people may have meant for evil, God meant for good. Maybe some of you know Jesus because of the bad stuff that happened in your life. If it hadn't been for that bad, you wouldn't have heard about Jesus. You wouldn't know. Maybe you wouldn't have followed him. So when yuck stuff happens in your life, think of Joseph. What you meant for evil, brothers, God meant for good. And God's ultimately in charge. So remember that as you face yuck stuff. We love you. This is the point where I say, hasta lasagna.
Don't get any on you.
Don't get any on ya.
Don't get it
Yeah,
on
got
ya.
it.